Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing a pick'ems and predictions video for the VCT Pacific Kickoff Tournament. So the Kickoff Tournament is right around the corner for the Pacific League, and starting off with Group A, we have T1 versus Bleed. Now this is going to be a very interesting match. We have T1, who definitely have high expectations. People see them as a top team. Bleed is the Ascension team in this league and does have some pretty talented players. They added Ye, Egoist, and they still have most of the roster that made a very good run in Ascension. So where do I see this match going? I feel like a lot of people are going to pick T1, but personally I'm going to pick Bleed for this one. I do think it could go either way, but I think Bleed are going to come in off the jump and perform pretty well right out the gate, while T1, I think it might take them a bit more time to get adjusted. They did have a lot of roster changes. I think some of the rosters that stayed mostly the same from last year might be able to get a jump on some of the teams that had a lot of changes. So in this case, I think that is what's going to happen here with Bleed versus T1. Next up, Zeta versus Global, and I'm sorry Global, I'm going to pick Zeta for this one. Global had some good changes last year, but they also lost some really talented players. I don't know if what they've brought in is really going to be competitive in this league. Same can be said about Zeta, but Zeta didn't make as many changes and still have a very solid group of players. I do think that they can beat Global. So that brings us to Bleed versus Zeta. Very interesting match right here. Some would say Zeta is better than Bleed. Some would argue Bleed is better. Personally, I just think the firepower on Bleed is too good to lose to Zeta. I don't know if this would be considered an upset. I think people don't really know where to rank Bleed. I had trouble putting them on my power rankings, but overall I do think they come out swinging and do qualify for playoffs. So that brings us to the elimination match of T1 versus Global Esports. Not going to spend a lot of time on it. T1 wins that. T1's a better team. They have a lot of firepower, and I do think that they're going to be able to beat a team like Global. But hey, upsets do happen. That might be one of them, but personally, I'm going to take T1. Which brings us to Zeta versus T1. I think this is going to be a pretty close one, maybe closer than some people expect, but overall, I'm going to pick T1 as well. T1 is a good team. I do have them losing their opening match, but I do have them finding their footing and being able to beat the lower bracket and qualify for the play-in. So now we move on to Group B, starting with DRX versus Dead Nation Focus Me. Do I really need to spend much time on that? DRX wins that one. Upsets are going to happen. I don't think that's one of them. DFM, you know, they're the Crazy Raccoons team, so I don't see them beating a team like DRX. DRX is really good, despite the losses that they suffered in the offseason. I do think they are going to beat a team like Dead Nation Focus Me. Which brings us to Team Secret versus Talon. I don't see a lot of good stuff about Talon. Again, upsets are going to happen, and I feel like I haven't picked a lower seed yet, but I do think Team Secret can beat Talon, and I think they will. Talon really doesn't look great on paper, in my opinion. Team Secret, I also don't have them very high on my power ranking, but can they beat a team like Talon? I think so. DFM versus Talon. I don't know if this would be considered an upset. This is just two teams that don't look on paper very good. I'm going to pick DFM. DFM, I do think, are going to be better than they were last year, and I do think this is where they get their first win. I think they're better than Talon. I think this could go either way. It could be really close. It could be a battle of the mid, if you will. DRX versus Team Secret. Does DRX struggle at the gate? Does Team Secret struggle at the gate? They both won their opening match. I think people are a bit lower on DRX than they were in years past because of the losses of RB and Zest. I can see Team Secret taking this, but I'm going to pick DRX. I just think DRX is still a good enough team to make its way to the playoff stage, and I don't think their bracket is particularly hard. Which brings us to Team Secret versus DFM. Team Secret, don't think that's controversial. I just think Secret's better. That's it. Which brings us to Group C, which is Paper X and other teams, starting with Genji versus RRQ. A lot of people high on RRQ, not as high on Genji from what I have seen. I've seen people pick RRQ for this match, but honestly, I think Genji can take this one. This would probably be an upset, and I do think Genji is better than they were last year, and they do have some decent pieces where, looking at RRQ, I don't know why people are so high on that team. They have them like top 5. I'm not there yet. I'll probably get proven wrong, but I think Genji's better. So Genji versus Paper X, it's Paper X. They win that. They choke, but they don't choke against teams like Genji. They just don't. And yeah, they make it to playoffs to the surprise of no one. Genji versus RRQ, so who wins the rematch? Who wins the rematch? I'll say RRQ. I'll say RRQ wins the rematch. You know, they warm up, and then they actually are able to beat Genji and then make it to the play-in round. So which team do I think makes it out of the play-in round? You know, you got T1, Secret, and RQ. I'm going to go with T1. They're just too good of a team, and I think, you know, after starting slow in the tournament, they end up warming up a lot and being able to win the play-in. So all this would mean Paper X would be against DRX in the playoffs, and then T1 would be rematching Bleed. So which teams do I think make it out of that playoffs? Paper X, to the surprise of probably not a lot of people, and T1. So Paper X being against DRX right in the playoff stage is a tough draw for DRX. I do think DRX is still good enough to make it to international events, and having an early failure like that would definitely be rough. But at the same time, it's Paper X who, you know, they've had some pretty close battles, those two teams, but Paper X has been able to beat them, and I think that they got better in the offseason. With DRX, we don't know if they got better or worse yet, but even if they did on paper get better, I still see Paper X as the superior team, and I do think T1 can win in a rematch versus Bleed. So, you know, lose to them early, beat them later. You know, probably better to beat them later. So these are my pick'ems and predictions for the VCT Pacific Kickoff Tournament. Let me know in the comment section below who your pick'ems are, how you disagree with me, how you agree with me, how you think I'm a stupid idiot, and, you know, just how you think this tournament is going to go overall. Please click like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.